Hello Year 9, it's Miss Letts here, and this week we are completing Act 1 of An Inspector Calls. So last week you should have read between pages 1 to 10 and completed the tasks on the video, and this week we're going to complete Act 1. So on the right here we've got a list of the tasks we're going to be completing during today's lesson. So your do now is a review of last week's work, and that's available on Teams. I will talk you through that on the next slide. Then I'm going to ask you to complete reading Act 1, which is pages 11 to 26, available on Teams. And we're going to look at a few sections of Act 1 in a bit more detail. So the entrance of the inspector, Berlin's confession, Sheilas' confession, and when Sheila questions Gerald. Finally, I'm just going to ask you to consolidate your knowledge of Act 1. So that is the plan for today. Okay, so your weekly retrieval quiz is a habit I'm going to try and get into, and it's basically a review of the learning you did in the previous week. So it'll just be a quiz of 10 questions. It'll be kind of tick box answers, not long responses, and it's just to gauge your understanding, or if many of you are struggling with a particular area, and it just means that I can get a brief overview of how you're finding the work at the moment. If you have any trouble accessing it, just let me know. Okay, before we move on to the rest of the lesson, I'm going to ask you to read the rest of Act 1, and that should be available on Teams. It's only pages 11 to 26. So go and do that now, pause the video, and come back when you've completed it. Okay, fabulous. So the first section I really want to focus on is the entrance of the inspector, which is on page 11. I'm going to do my incredible reading with slightly different voices, just to give you a feel for it. So Edna, who's our parlourmaid, opens the door and announces, "Inspector Gould." And the important thing here is the stage directions which come next. The inspector enters and Edna goes, closing the door after her. The inspector need not be a big man, but he creates at once an impression of massiveness, solidity, and purposefulness. He's a man in his 50s, dressed in a plain darkish suit of the period. He speaks carefully, weightily, and has a disconcerting habit of looking hard at the person he addresses before actually speaking. So that gives us an idea of what our character should be like. It doesn't really tell us what he looks like, other than he creates this enormous presence. So the inspector says, "Mr. Berling." And Berling says, "Yes, sit down, Inspector." He says, "Thank you, sir." Berling says, "Have a glass of port or a little whiskey?" And the inspector immediately says, "No, thank you, Mr. Berling, I'm on duty." Berling says, "You're new, aren't you?" And the inspector says, "Yes, sir, only recently transferred." Berling says, "I thought you must be. I was an alderman for years, and Lord Mayor 2 years ago, and I'm still on the bench, so I know the Bromley police officers pretty well, and I thought I'd never seen you before." And the inspector just says, "Quite so." So that's the key little bit we're going to be looking at for the inspector's entrance. And on the right here, we've got some tasks for you to do. Now, I'm going to be talking through each question. What might be useful for you is to pause after each one and jot down your ideas in your exercise books or in your Word document, whichever you're working from. Okay, so the first task is to complete a single word analysis on the words that are highlighted in the stage directions. And I want you to think about what you can infer about the inspector based on them. So we've got this idea of massiveness, but it says over here that he need not be a big man. So he just creates an enormous presence as soon as he goes into a room. It doesn't really matter what he looks like. It's almost he has this aura about him. And this idea of solidity, you wouldn't mess with him. He looks like he knows what he's about and he seems determined. And that follows on nicely to purposefulness. He's got a clear idea about why he's there, and he's determined to get answers. And that sets us up for this sort of character, this very serious, quite severe man who's interrupting an otherwise light-hearted evening. Okay, pause there if you need to. Alright, task 2. Looking at the adverbs carefully and weightily and what they suggest about the inspector. And I suppose what you might say about that is that he really thinks before he speaks, kind of like I'm trying to do on these videos so I don't sound like a complete muppet. But it's almost as if he's formulating his ideas first and that way when he does speak, it carries off. It just seems even more significant. People listen to him. So he's commanding. He commands the room. Pause there if you need to. Okay, task 3. Why do you think the inspector looks hard at the person he addresses before speaking? I suppose for this one, it could be his personality trait. He seems quite a serious character. But equally, it's almost some sort of intimidation tactic, like he's trying to read them before he interrogates them. So he's really trying to work out what that person is like by staring hard at them before he actually addresses them properly. Pause if you need to. Okay, how do you think Priestley wants the audience to react to the inspector when they first see him enter? Now this is an interesting one. The way that Priestley has designed this is Berling is ranting about capitalism, that every man needs to look after himself, he should only be worrying about his own family, community is nonsense, and it's at that point that the doorbell rings. So Priestley has the inspector's arrival interrupt Berling's capitalist ranting, and immediately that sets us up as the audience to take the inspector seriously. We can see from the stage directions that he's quite a serious character, but equally, Priestley wants us to listen to what he has to say. This message isn't just for the Berlings, it's for the audience as well. Remember Priestley's views on socialism at the time. So we as an audience are expected to listen to the inspector. Pause if you need to. This follows on nicely to task 5. So the inspector's lines are short and blunt compared to Mr. Berling, and I suppose that tells us that Berling isn't quite as comfortable as he once was. The inspector isn't particularly friendly, he's polite, he's respectful, but he's not inviting Berling into a conversation, and this makes Berling feel really uncomfortable. And I'm just going to go straight on to 6. Because he's uncomfortable, Berling kind of name drops the people he knows, like, oh, chief of police, and his position in society. He's almost trying to assert his dominance over the inspector, which won't work at all, by saying, actually, I'm quite an important person, so don't speak to me like that. Berling thinks he's superior to everyone else, and he's clearly uncomfortable and trying to get control back over the situation. Okay, pause there if you need to. Okay, the next section we're going to focus on is Berling's confession, and I've put confession in little quotation marks because he doesn't really feel like he's done anything wrong. It was too long to kind of put a little section on the slide, so if you need to have a quick reread of it, you might want to pause this now. Alright, fab. So, Berling admits that he sacked Eva Smith, and it seems, to us at least, a fairly unfair reason. She wanted a tiny bit more money, and he refused. I'm not going to go into too much detail because I'd like you to use your own words, but that's effectively what happened. Now, number 2 is your opinion. In your opinion, was he justified to sack Eva Smith? Did he make the right call? And I'd like you to explain your answer. I'm not looking for a specific answer, I'm just interested to see to what extent we kind of sympathise with Berling's decision at this point. And now linking back to Priestley's intentions, our playwright, at this point, how might the audience feel about Berling after his confession? Do we like him a little bit more? Do we like him a bit less? Why? What do we think of him as a character? Okay, pause there if you need to. Moving on to Sheilas' confession, and again, I've put the page numbers up there, so you might want to have that document open whilst you're doing the work, or you might want to pause it now so that you can quickly scan over it again. Okay, so similar to Berling, I would like you to summarise why Sheila had Eva Smith fired from her job at the shop at Millwoods. And again, in your opinion, was Sheila justified? Do you think she was right to make the decision she did? And again, how might the audience feel about Sheila after her confession? This one's really important because we're always trying to think about the author or playwright's intentions. Why have they done that? This isn't an accident, they've deliberately crafted this. Okay, pause it if you need to. And then at the end of Act 1, we get this hint about Gerald, who's been this kind of upper class, romantic fiance to Sheila, but actually he was playing away from home last summer. So Sheila sees through it immediately, and I'd like you to summarise what we learn about Gerald in the end of Act 1, how he's presented in the scene, and don't be put off by this word presented. All it means is, what's he like? How do we feel about him? And finally for this bit, how has Sheila changed since the beginning of Act 1? So think about right at the start, she was saying things like, Mummy, Daddy, oh look at the ring, it's amazing. And now she seems a lot more serious. She's almost matured, and as you read the play, what you're going to notice is that Sheila's character changes the most over the course of the play. She really grows up and her views change. Okay, pause it if you need to. Final task for today is just consolidating what we have learned in Act 1. So you can do this in form of bullet points, so summarise the main events, a paragraph combining all of those things, or a storyboard, which I've uploaded on both Teams and Go if you're finding this a little bit difficult. If you have any issues, let me know. What I would like you to try to do is submit your work via class notebook on Teams, so you can upload pictures there, and it's really handy because if I rewatch Mr. Summer's video, I think I can work out how to make little comments on it, and it's like a virtual exercise book if you like. There's a really handy video on YouTube that Mr. Summer made for parents and students actually, telling you how to do that if you do have any problems. Either way, you can always get in touch and I'm happy to help. Take care, bye!